What do you do and where exactly do you put your money if you only have 300 bucks, but you're trying to start dropshipping? Yo, what is going on everyone? Hayden here coming back at you with a brand new video, and I do want to start this off by apologizing if the audio is a little bit off. This is a different type of office setup. I'm waiting on two things: the clip-on mic for my shirt for all these videos, as well as some soundboard foam things for the wall. So it should be all right though. But in this video, this is not just if you have $300. A lot of you might have less, hopefully not, but a lot of you probably have more than that. But the thing is, and this is one thing I really stress inside of the e-commerce program, is that if you think, or if you have $300, you can't believe that you have 300. So if you have $500 or $1,000, take the principles from what you're gonna do, which is what I'm gonna explain in this video, with $300, and you can do that on a bigger and faster scale. Because essentially, if you have less money, that just means things are gonna take longer. You have to go slower and be a lot more selective, as well as when it comes to certain platforms, you have to be very careful. For example, one of the new modules, actually the new module, one of the videos inside of there in the e-commerce program, which by the way, if you guys aren't in there, the link is down below. It talks about how to start Facebook ads with only $500. Now, Facebook is viewed as a platform that costs a lot more to get into because, well, it does, but there's still strategies you can use to start with a lot less. So I'm gonna explain what I would do right now if I was starting a store with only $300, a little bit about all the costs that are involved, because it's not just marketing. There is your plan, okay? This is the first one, your Shopify plan, okay? So that could be like 30 bucks a month, 70 bucks. Start with the base one. It's gonna cost you like 30 bucks a month. It's nothing too crazy. You don't need anything above that. I still use that, okay? So you can definitely still use that, just the basic plan. That's 30 bucks, let's just call it that, all right? So this is 30 bucks gone. That leaves you with $270. Off of that, the necessary apps you probably need, let's just call it another $20 a month max, okay? So with the apps on your Shopify store, you're probably gonna spend about another 20 bucks. That's gonna leave you with 250. And I am gonna be doing an updated app video, so you guys can stay tuned for that. But with the apps, I know you guys hear me talk about all this, and now you're like, there's no way you can get all that for 20 bucks. You're right, but you don't need all the apps. If you only have $300, your only focus with these $300 should be getting more than $300. You should try and double that, increase your money, so that not only you can use that money to make more money faster, but so that you're secure. Because if you're starting a business with only 300 bucks, I mean, that can bring a lot of stress, that can be very worrying, especially if you literally only have $300. So if you're young and you have 300 bucks, you worked hard for that money most likely. So you gotta be careful with how you spend it. So you wanna mitigate the upfront cost. Now, I would really say that the rest of this money is gonna be spent on marketing, okay? And this is where your focus is gonna be. Not even just money-wise, this is time-wise. So this leaves you with $250. Off of this, there's Instagram, we're just gonna call it Insta, and there's Facebook. Facebook with $250, that would be sketchy. The way I do it, I would stray away from that. I'll come back and loop around to it and explain how you could after we talk about Instagram. So it's not just, okay, let me run an Instagram influencer shout out that cost me $200 or $250. That is suicide. I don't care if you know influencers or not, like that's some real balls to the walls and see if it sticks type of stuff. If you're gonna run an influencer shout out with all of your money, because there's other things that go into that. On the back end, this is why you want a reserve. Let's say you run a shout out for 250 bucks. You spend all your money, the only 250 you have left out of everything, okay? Well, now what? Let's say it worked. Let's say it worked. It worked really well. You made 700 bucks in sales, right? You almost 3x'd your money. Now you gotta fulfill those orders. So you don't get paid from Shopify right away. That's a delayed period. So theoretically, you're using your own money to fulfill an order. So that means either you gotta find money elsewhere, which would be fairly simple in my opinion, to just say, hey, I need 400 bucks to fulfill these orders. Look, I have the sales right here, so I'm gonna get the money. It's guaranteed. But you could also do something where you wait with the Shopify payment, where you just wait until they pay you out, which does delay the shipping and everything. You know, it makes the customer, it takes them longer than to get the product, which is not the best thing. I wouldn't recommend that. So with influencers, I would split that into probably like 4 to 5 shout outs. So I would do one, and this, I wouldn't do this one first. I'm actually gonna do this in order for you guys. I would do one that's probably 50 bucks or so, a 40 to 60 range. Do one that's like another 40 to 60. Do like $100 range. Something like that, where you're kind of flying through it, you're using a decent amount of the money, but off of these, you gotta be very selective, by the way. Go back on this channel and watch other influencer videos. If you're inside the program, you already know exactly how to break this down and what to do. But stuff like this, you're gonna wanna slowly start with smaller, these are what we call micro influencers, where ideally it's like a personal brand or very, very viral content, but still a small page. It hasn't really blown up yet, but the content's hitting the explore page all the time, because that's gonna get you one of two things. If it's a personal brand, it's gonna get you very, very engaged people who are like really active because they trust that person. It's a personal brand, so there's a relationship built. I would definitely test one of those. It does depend on what your product is, but I would try and do a personal brand and then a more viral content page where it's hitting the explore page. That's gonna be so many eyeballs on your content. You can kind of see what does better and then move up again. Do whichever one worked better, kind of again, like that same style, whether it's personal brand or like a big viral content page. And then after that, move up a level. So go to like $100 shout out where it's more expensive. You're gonna get on a bigger, better page that's gonna get you more exposure and more people seeing it. That's how I would structure this. And you're not just spending, let's say 50, 50, 50, and 100. That's $250 right there. You're not just spending that. Over this, you've made something back. With Instagram influencers, as long as to a degree you even know what you're doing, you're gonna make 20% of it back, 50% of it back, all of it back, break even. It's really not too difficult to at least recuperate a good chunk of that. So even if all of these flop, you still probably have 150 bucks. So you just went down 100, but you learned a lot, so now you gotta be even more careful. So be very, very careful with influencers. Now with Facebook, this can be a bad thing. And by the way, you need to focus on only one product. I know that's not like what I'm really talking about here. One product with all of this, make the best ad, like really, really study all the stuff with ad copy. Like make sure that you are absolutely, like you know exactly what you're doing. Wherever you're learning from, whatever program or anything, like exactly to the T, like what you have to do with ad copy. I see so many people, and this sucks, like running shout outs, and I even have clients, they come on and you know, they had no experience in anything, and the ad copy they write. I had to tell one person today, I'm like, dude, you're missing, think about it like an essay. You're missing the main, like what's the bulk of the middle? You have a somewhat of an intro, and then it's just a hard outro, which is the close. Like there's no, what's enticing them, what's telling them what it is. There's nothing to really hook them. It's just an offer. So you have to make sure it's structured the right way. Then you can have a lot more confidence as you move into the marketing. Now, it's the same thing with Facebook. I would still do one product. I would very much so only do one product with Facebook. This is what I would focus on, okay? I would do primarily one thing, because with Facebook, it's not like Instagram where you can just spend 50 bucks and make money. You have to build into it. So I would be very careful. I would run $10 a day ads, okay? 10 bucks a day. I hope you guys can see that. 10 bucks a day, and I would probably run 2 a day. Probably only 2, and I would launch another a few days after. I would just be very micro analytical. But the problem with that, I'm gonna explain what it is if you're like, oh, it spent $3, and then you're really like hyper analyzing all the numbers and you haven't actually given it enough time to run, you could kill something, so you just wasted those $3, when in reality it could have worked or it would have worked, but you didn't give it enough time. So that's where it becomes very sketchy with Facebook, because you don't exactly know what's gonna happen. I would not, if you have no sales in your store, optimize. This is gonna be a controversial topic. Optimize for PUR. Everybody seems to want to optimize for purchase. I know there's other people giving out information who teach people who do extremely well with e-commerce, optimize for purchase. I don't do that. So I'm gonna very confidently 100% like, do not do that. I'll slap you in your damn face if you do that with no sales. However, other people would 100% support that. It depends on what strategy you're doing and where you're learning from. So if you're watching this right now, you're learning based on what I'm doing. I would not do this. What would I do? I would optimize for VC and then start testing under ATC after that. If ATC is not working, stick with VC. That is a conversion ad for Facebook. You can set something like view content, add to cart, initiate checkout, or purchase, okay? I would stick with the beginning 2 of those process. It's a lighter piece of data, allows you to collect it, test the audiences, spend less money to get data, and the odds of Facebook helping you optimize for it versus a purchase is much higher. So that is why I would do that. I would run a couple, I'd probably launch 2 VCs the first day, be very specific with the audience you choose. I would flex target on the best 2 interests, which means only 1 interest in the Facebook ads. You guys can watch the videos, we've broken down all that. And then from there, I would probably get that information, see exactly kind of who is biting and if that audience is interacting. And then from there, I would use that information, like take those 2 ads, test the best information, like this best age group, the best platform, what's working better, and run it for an ATC just to see how it would go. 250 bucks with Facebook, You're cutting it close. That's like a hair thin, but I mean, you could do it. You really could. So it just depends on where you're getting your information from, what you're doing. I want to make sure that no matter what you're doing, it's working, because with Instagram and Facebook, it's two completely different landscapes on how you're going to spend the money. So it's kind of scary, because with Instagram, you're going to spend more money like on one thing. An ad's going to cost you less on Facebook, so it's going to cost more on Instagram, but you have the direct possibility of making money, like a lot of it exponentially on Instagram, whereas on Facebook, it has to build into it, at least with what I'm doing. So which one's more expensive? You determine. Let me know in the comments down below. But I want to be a part of your guys' success. If you have not learned all this stuff, if you've been very careful, if you haven't started because you feel like you're not getting the right information, it's okay. I was exactly there, except for my problem was I did get started because I wanted to make money. I just didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was spending about $1,000 a month for 5 months. Well, my phone just went off. For 5 months. You guys already know the story. I spent $4,700 just on Facebook ads in a 5-month period, got one sale for like $13. It was depressing. It was terrible. That was like the worst 5 months, but I was still so focused on learning it. And now I mastered that skill. I focus so much more on Facebook, but Instagram is where I first started making money. I dominated both of those platforms. So that's what I run with. If you guys are not inside of the e-commerce program yet, I know a lot of people talk about only having $300. You need the right information, because if you don't have that, this is exactly what happened to me. You're literally just gonna piss away that money. Whether it's $300, $250, $50, whatever, it doesn't matter. You're just gonna lose it. So whether you have to save up or do anything, or whatever you have to do to get the right information based on whatever strategy you wanna execute upon, whatever freaking platform you wanna do, just make sure you get that and then start spending the money. That would be my advice to you. So if you wanna learn from me and exactly what I do every single day with all my stores, hit the link down below. I'm gonna leave it somewhere in the description. You guys can jump inside the e-com program and join the private mastermind group as well. And other than that, if you guys did enjoy the video, I'd very much so appreciate it if you drop a like down below, and let me know if you guys like this new office setup. I've got like 4 lights right here, but I'm still waiting on all the stuff with like the audio, so you guys will be seeing that soon. But other than that, please do help me get to 100K subs. This plaque would look so good, like right up here or something. Hit that nice looking subscribe button, and with that being said, you guys, I'm gonna see you tomorrow in the next video. Peace.